guys, welcome to Cult Film and Review, the podcast where we discuss the films you love, but no one else gets, and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, every time we think we're out, they pull us back in, and they do it by killing our girlfriend with a golf club and spilling her guts out like snakes, because we're talking about Deadbeat at Dawn. So let's start the show. Hey guys, thanks for joining the cult. We really appreciate it. Do us a favor, head over to iTunes, leave us a review. We will give you a shout out at the end of the show. We got 2 to do.
Shout out!
So make sure you stay around for those. And then when you're done with that, head over to cultfilmandreview.com. Make sure you get your request in for a film for us to review. And then also pick up a t-shirt while you're at it there and watch some cool videos. And then on September 13th, make sure you head out to Phoenix Film Bar for The Burning with Cult Film and Review. You can get tickets where, Chris?
Thefilmbarphx.com.
That is right. That's where they can get them. And as always, I am joined by Kyle Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Willenbeck.
Hey, what's up?
And Michael Salucio.
Hello, everybody.
Today we are talking about Deadbeat at Dawn. It was directed by Jim Van Beber. I'm
going to go with Beber.
We're going to go with Jim
Biebs.
Van Beber.
Yeah, the voice of Bieber, though.
Came out in 1988, and that's about all we fucking know.
Yeah, that's a pretty small Wikipedia page
Yeah,
right there, man.
I kept looking for, and I tried to read like articles about this. I did hear that the budget on this was $10,000.
$10,000, okay.
And that it was filmed over 4 years.
Did anyone go to Arrow's website? Because Arrow put this film out, and they did a remaster. That's the version I watched on Shudder.
It says Synapse, distributed by Synapse.
It was it Synapse that put it out?
Yeah, at least on
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
I saw Synapse as the distributor.
Yeah.
Mm.
But you might be right. You might be right. Arrow might have obtained certain rights for the UK.
Arrow put it out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it just came out actually recently, right?
Yeah, it did, and I kind of feel bad because when you, like, I guess backstory. Chris asked me to put this on the Plex server a while ago, and like the version I found, I'm pretty sure the one that you guys watched is like a fucking VHS transfer, and the
It's low quality.
And
Yeah, it was definitely low quality.
The Arrow Blu-ray looks fucking great because I watched the first 10 minutes of the Plex one. I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Like the film actually looks good.
they did a great
I'd like
job.
to see that because
Me too.
can I say something? I thought the whole time I kind of liked the graininess of it all.
And so did I.
I was kind of like, oh, man, this feels fucking
That's the thing.
legit.
That comes through great. It
Yeah.
actually comes through, I feel like, better because
cool.
it looks more organic and shit.
Yeah, what you're not getting is like the
Yeah.
digitized, like blocky, pixelated look.
Shit,
Yeah,
this
it doesn't
movie's
have that smeared look like there's grease on the fucking lens.
So
and that's on Shudder.
Yeah, Shudder's got it. You have to have a Shudder account, but
I have a
Oh,
Shudder.
man.
You know what? Calm down, Kyle. I have a Shudder account. All right.
I forgot you have an account for fucking everything.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned Chris wanting this movie on the Plex server because he did pick this film
Yep.
for us to review. Chris,
Yeah.
why? Why?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Just pitch it right down the center.
Yeah.
He's on fire tonight.
Driving this one home.
How could you not be?
Why did you pick Deadbeat at Dawn?
This movie was brought up to me by my boss, who often says that he thinks indie filmmakers should watch this and see what you can do on a low budget and what you should do to make a low budget film exciting or interesting. And so I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. Like I knew who the director was, Jim Van Beber, because I saw his Manson family movie, which is a pretty gruesome retelling of the Manson murders and all that stuff. So I was familiar with his work and who he was already, but never had seen this film. And I did watch a trailer with Kyle a while back and remember being like, okay, that looks looks like a wild movie. So, yeah, first time going in.
Had anyone seen or heard of this movie before? Mike?
I mean, I've heard of it a million times because Chris has been trying to pick it for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
No, I had not seen it though yet.
I had not even heard of it before Chris had it put on the Plex server, and then I actually forgot it was there forever.
You never heard Chris talk about this film before?
No, I've heard him talk about it, but like I said, I just forgot. Like it's been so long. It's been on there for so long. I just, you know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't know it was been in the Plex. I thought you just put it on there.
No.
It's been there for at least a year.
I've literally
Probably
been
would've watched it
been
earlier.
waiting about a year for Chris to pick this fucking movie.
At one point I had picked it and then went back on my pick and picked something else.
He was like, this movie Deadbeat at Dawn. I was like, and I was like looking for it. And I was like, and I found something that looked real shitty, low budget. And I was like, well, that's not it. And then I found the trailer. I was like, well, that's it. That's totally it. I'm excited to see this fucking movie because it's insane looking. And then it just never happened. Until now.
It's an interesting take. Why do you think that your boss finds that this is important for like young indie filmmakers?
I think there's just a lot of reasons, and I hope we can tackle them like as we discuss.
You don't agree with that?
$10,000.
No, he
I'm
doesn't
not,
agree with it.
I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just
not
wondering
either.
I'm wondering what his boss sees in it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, ambition is
well-
it would be my one word answer.
We'll totally get to it, but man, they pull off some shit where there's subtle attention to details in scenes that I'm just like,
Not the script.
what filmmaker would have actually thought, oh, this is that we have to make sure we do this right here because this is what would happen. And it's like, no one with a low budget is going to do that, I think. So it's super ambitious and there's such attention to detail. Granted, the script is, but the whole production of it, pretty
Not
good.
the whole production of it,
Yeah.
but
There's elements though. It's time we probably figure out what this movie's about. So it's time for Plots with Mike.
Guys, this film stars Goose.
Goose.
Not from Top Gun, not from Captain Marvel. This is another Goose. Okay, he's a gang member. He's a bad boy. But he's also fucking good with his fists, the old ones and twos. All right? That's what he's known for, man.
Threes
He kicks a
and
mess.
fours.
He's leading this gang. He's doing his thing. But he's got this girl at home, man. You know, he doesn't know how he feels about her. And then one day he says, you know what? I'm ready to leave this gang for this woman. That's how much I love this woman. So he does. And then you find out, next thing you know, girlfriend gets killed, beaten to death with golf clubs. So this guy goes on a revenge trip trying to find the gang that did it and get revenge for his lost. I don't know, man. I lost it right there. I was going really good for her there. I was being real dramatic.
we'll just pick it up there.
No, that's good. We just end it right there. Good job, Mike.
His beloved.
There you go.
His beloved.
All right, guys, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about Deadbeat at Dawn. And we're back. We're talking about Deadbeat at Dawn. This is Chris's pick. Came out in 1988. Took 4 years to film. That's all we know.
Cost $10,000.
It cost $10,000. Oh, yeah, he took out a loan for it. Yeah, he's supposed to pay for his second year of college, I believe is
I
what
think
I
he
read.
did. He took out his student loan.
Can I just say I love stories like that?
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a story of like
Yeah,
a better time
but
in
do you-
filmmaking.
Yeah, but do you feel like he was able to pay that back with this movie?
No, that's the
he
thing.
went on to make more movies, so I assume he
He
wasn't continuously in. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't continuously in debt. Who knows?
Wait, yeah, I mean,
What other
it's-
movies did he do that were big?
Did the Manson family movie? I think he did another.
I mean, I heard about that
I've heard of the
10
Manson
minutes
family.
ago when you told me.
Yeah, he's also what's Combat Shock.
I bet you he did.
Oh, no,
I bet
not
you made the
Combat
money
Shock,
money
sorry.
back.
Yeah.
Because what about like VHS and shit?
What it was shot on?
No, like the VHS was out by now.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, so
88?
it probably had a life on video.
This is how people watched it. I'm sure they either
Oh,
passed it around
definitely.
on video or rented it themselves.
Right. What I'm
you
saying
know?
is that I bet you he made his $10,000 back making this
yeah,
film.
come on. I mean, yes, definitely. Over time, it has made more than $10,000.
Oh, I would say now, yeah.
I think even then, it probably didn't take long for people to start talking about this film.
If you got one order on, in a chain of video stores, you could easily pay $10,000 back at that time.
In 87?
88.
That shit was expensive. VHS tapes were like $60,
Yeah.
like at that
For
time
a rental one?
for one copy. So if you wanted to put three of those on the shelf in one store, and there's like 1,000 stores, across the way. I mean,
Well, I don't know if people are doing 3 of this film, but
We're
I
talking
get what you're
buku.
saying.
they were
We're
trying to
talking
fill
buku.
shelves. They were trying to fill shelf space, honestly.
Yeah, this is
So-
1980. This is better times. You just walk in, pick a movie right off the shelf. You don't know what the fuck you're picking. Put it in there, find out.
I mean, this one's pretty. So getting into the innovation part, I think a lot of it has to do with maybe more of the technical aspect because, as far as like revenge films go, I mean, from except for like certain weird aspects where you're like, what the fuck? It's pretty paint by the numbers of like my girlfriend got killed, and I want to kill the guy who killed my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a timeless
There's
story.
nothing more to this plot. Other than
There is more to the plot. It's just weird side
Not
shit.
really.
No, not really. He's absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing. It's really, I'm in a gang. I want to get out of the gang. They kill my girlfriend. I need revenge. He
I think-
takes a while to get to the revenge
Yeah.
part, but
I mean, okay, I guess you could say like the gangs like coming together as one gang might be considered that. But like they don't really talk about those two guys that much. The main villain and the new leader of the gang. I can't remember his name.
No. That's just all like side shit around
Yeah.
Jim Van Bebber's character, which is Goose, who is the leader of the Ravens.
It feels like
so
like a plot driving plot point. Like if that makes any sense.
Keith was the one that took over, I believe.
Keith.
Yeah, Keith
Yeah.
took over.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, like we're following Goose, who, is trying to live a good life, and like he's a badass. Like, well, he's not. Yeah, you're right. But he does choose to get out of the gang for his girlfriend,
But
which I guess
Before he does that,
before he does that, he's a
he
little
definitely
rough.
shoots a man's hand off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's a
blows
little
that
rough.
guy's
Yeah,
hand
when
right the fuck
well,
off.
dude, because they're fighting. You got to realize that these two gangs, you got the Ravens and the Spiders. They're fighting over very important turf, the cemetery, which, as everyone knows, is hot turf.
Hot turf.
Hot turf. Like
What
if you're in a
happens,
gang, ask anyone in a gang what was the hot turf? Cemetery, number one
Cemetery,
place. Everyone knows that.
Good place to fight. You can hide behind
Yeah.
tombstones. and-
Absolutely. You got defense. You know the terrain.
Yeah.
No one else does.
It does this
You
weird.
knows where your grandma's tombstone is. They don't.
They made this weird choice in the beginning too to have like Goose wear a fucking Lone Ranger mask, and then I believe Danny is the other leader of the gang,
Yeah.
Spiders. Wear the coolest fucking I don't know what Batman steel mask I've ever seen in my life.
It looks like the same mask. What he was a bad guy in one of the movies we did.
Victor Von Doom,
No,
but
no,
with
no.
a Batman signal on top.
It's like a mask. Oh, isn't it the same mask in Road Warrior or Mad Max? One of them has that chrome fucking mask in it. It's like it's like a
Yeah.
half chrome
This is
face mask type thing from. I think it's from Mad
It
Max.
definitely had a Batman symbol on it. I'm pretty sure.
They just blacked it out.
No, it was on top. Like it was literally on
Yeah.
top. It had a Batman symbol, right?
Was it a
Chris?
Batman
And
symbol?
it was made to look like one if it wasn't exactly
Okay.
a Batman symbol. It was definitely made to elicit that. Yeah,
It looked like
because I
one.
thought of Batman when I saw the mask.
And
yeah.
then like after that, Michael Jackson's bad goes down in the middle of the cemetery. Fucking knife fight.
fucking knife fight.
yeah, dude. He said it straight up, man. He's like, you ain't gonna use a gun, man.
That's how you get the
Don't
cops.
you want respect?
Yeah.
You know, a single bullet goes off, and that's the thing. I was like, really? Like, but like, at least one of you is dead, and then that's the end of it, right?
Well, this is our first introduction to our villain, our main villain, Danny, right? Like
Yeah.
the leader of the other gang. And,
He's psychotic. He's insane, Chris.
neither of the gangs are good necessarily, but you're, like as an audience member, you're kind of picking a side, and I guess you're on the Raven side because that's the story you're following. Anyways, I thought Danny was immediately like a good villain. I thought he seemed kind of like weird and like off and kind of crazy and psychotic.
Everyone seems weird and off and kind of
On
crazy.
drugs,
Can I
like a
say
little
that?
on drugs.
I thought Danny looked like a youth minister from like 1982.
But the creepy kind, like the David Miscavige.
I thought he was gonna
fucking
pull out like an
looking
acoustic
dude.
He's got
guitar
that. He's
and
got
sing
that terrifying.
Hallelujah.
He's got that terrifying
Can I-
mustache.
Can I
That's
set
what
the
it
tone
is.
of how I received this movie?
Yeah.
This movie to me is like a combination of Street Trash meets Miami Connection.
Miami Connection?
I wouldn't say Miami
I would say it's got definitely the dialogue is so fucking terrible, dude.
No, this
pretty-
is
Wait,
for me. It
it's
was like
bad,
more
it's
like
bad.
Escape from the Bronx and
Yeah.
Okay.
Street Trash and some extent a little. I got a little vibes from Assault on Precinct 13 actually too.
I could see picking up Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I do want to say, one thing about it to this film that I don't want to say, like, yeah, the acting is not great. Like,
Oh,
I will say that straight up.
it's straight up like community theater acting.
They're
yeah,
non-actors.
They're not actors by trade.
They're non-actors.
let's say that.
Maybe a few of them are.
Possibly.
Keith seems like he's
But-
a fucking theater actor, man.
I mean, maybe.
Perhaps. Yeah.
I'm thinking, though, the story. Like, there are moments in the story where there's like heavy drama going on.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing I liked about this film is it felt really ambitious. Like, Miami Connection is funny because you can tell it's like bad writing because it's based on like throwaway lines and like trying to like kind of force drama. This one, there's a lot of reactive
Yeah.
stuff like dialogue, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, but it's like it's the same. I feel like some of it's done in the same level of cheese.
Well,
Like they do try to have those moments in Miami Connection of like I thought we were all orphans. It's kind of like that same shit. Like some of that kind of happens in this movie where you're like this is not done
But this
very
is
well.
not a
I want to
happy
disagree.
film.
I want to disagree though because here's the thing. Like, I think the thing with Miami Connection is the bad writing is amplified by the delivery of it. However, I feel like this film almost deserves a little more credit as being, if it's a so bad it's good category, because of the level of ambition and commitment to the drama, and it might not have actually been performed as well as you wanted it to come across.
And that's why
it's like more like The Room.
Well, I was
going to
say, would you put it as in the category as is so bad it's good? Because right now it sounds like you guys are saying like this is just a good film.
I would say absolutely not in that category. Not at all.
So bad it's good? Not in that category.
Not
I would see, and I would 100% disagree with that.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Chris.
Yeah.
Ooh. Honestly, yeah, I might actually go with Chris. I think this is just like a fucking wild fucking ride of a film.
I just thought, I just felt it was just something that was trying to be the Warriors, but just didn't have that budget.
I think if you put this in a theater with the people, they would be dying in their seats.
No, I agree. There would be some moments that are laughing, but I think people would be more having like a good time, like kind of like rooting for like the fighting and action of the film, not so much laughing at the characters.
No, again, some of the
delivery.
I'm going to go back to what you said with the dramatic moments. I do think that there's some dramatic moments. While they may not be trained actors, I still got a feeling from those scenes.
I like when his girlfriend turns around and she's got the tears in her face and she's like begging him to quit, like the gang. I was dying laughing.
It's funny, but it's like not like laugh out loud like Miami Connection.
It's funny because again the delivery is just it's so bad. I'm on that.
Okay, so yeah, their relationship like it morphs or whatever, and then she gets killed. But that scene when like he comes home and finds her, and like I agree, you could laugh at that scene, but I didn't. I actually felt sorry for him.
Can I just say something? Like it's a little off topic, but you kind of brought it up. What's his name? Jim. Great scream. He has a great scream in this movie. It's high pitched, blood curdling, but I never thought it to be too ridiculous.
Goose, yeah.
Goose is like when he screams. Like there's parts where he gets like he's dragged by the car, and he screams in pain and shit like that. Or he's got a great fucking scream.
You want to know what's great about it? It's because it's a real scream.
It is.
You don't believe that every guy's like Batman and shit like every time, right? Sometimes you're just like, oh, fucking shit. Like, it's a real scream, right? Like you're in pain.
His acting reminded me of Mark's acting in like American Movie and like Coven. Like,
really?
Yes, man. Like that's exactly what I got from this guy. Like, not that it's bad, but not that it's
bad
great.
acting.
Well,
like, no one's saying it's not bad acting.
And
it's definitely bad acting.
It's just there's a commitment behind it.
But Mark has the same commitment in his movies, like in Coven. He has the same commitment where he is 100% all in.
Yeah.
But he's not the greatest actor.
I agree.
All right. Maybe Mark's a better example. Yeah.
Yes, I do agree with you. But at the same time, so yes, like in this movie, every actor seems like a character, like a over the top character. So I kind of accept it. Like I kind of accept that Jim's not gonna, that the lead isn't gonna be that good.
I'll tell you what Jim does very well. Fucking roundhouse kick. That motherfucker throws.
Dude, that's a great
900 roundhouse kicks.
Him with the nunchucks was so impressive.
I was like, hey man, this guy knows his shit. This guy isn't a fucking joke. And then I had to go back and be like, this is the director?
Can I actually here? I did the same thing. One thing I do want to say about this movie that I enjoyed very much is that they use nunchucks correctly.
Oh yeah, they
for
sure
the first
fucking
time
do.
I've ever seen in a film where it just wrecks the fuck out of people in like one hit.
Bruce Lee used it correctly, but
Yeah.
on our show,
Bruce Lee uses it for Flash. It's not used for Flash in this movie.
Dude,
Like,
what
they
are you
use
talking
it
about?
straight up.
He
Just
fucking
like,
he fucking whacks dudes in the face and
have
knocks
you
them
seen
on top
Enter
of
the
the
Dragon? Like, what the fuck are you talking
goes
about?
to town with that.
No,
He
he's-
beats up like
he has-
17 dudes.
While flipping it behind his back and catching it. Like, literally fucking Goose is just running up to people and jabbing it in their eye socket.
Well, that's not using nunchuck correctly.
just smashing him over the head with it.
Yeah, like, and that the one thing I tell you what, man, I was not expecting that from this film.
Yeah.
Because I went into it blind. I'm actually really happy I went into this film blind because I was not expecting like the level of gore I got with this film and how good the gore would be.
Yeah.
For this, like for the level I got. There's two things that have pressed the fuck out of me with this movie. And I was not expecting it. The gore and the fucking lighting.
You're the lighting guy on this one, huh?
I just like the one thing I was just like, like it may not have been like the greatest lighting, it was like color choices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was just like, wow, that's actually some really inventive
Creative. Yeah.
lighting, and you lit the fuck out of this like shitty area and made this look really interesting.
I want to give him more credit than that. I think there were some pretty impressive shots in this film.
was.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Like
there is.
real impressive ones. That one where the gang is kind of like the two gangs are meeting. They're like in a sewer or some sort of thing, and they do that kind of like scroll in shot.
Yeah.
that looks like you're like I don't know POV walking in and trying to like
Yeah.
get into to whatever they're talking about. I was like, that's an impressive shot, man. That's
Dude,
like that's the
shots
type
are-
of shots like Raimi did in like Evil Dead.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly.
Totally.
And I want to agree. I totally agree with you, Cody, because there was even creative lighting choices that I fucking loved. Like there's a lot of use of like harsh red light and shit when you're looking at like the evil dude, and
Yeah.
like the way that they lit the scene. I thought was lit the best, which is funny because there are moments when I'm watching this film that I feel like I'm clearly watching a student film. Like
Oh,
it has
100%.
that vibe, but the lighting, even though it looked bad, it was good. Was when they're in the stairwell giving the henchman his wife's apartment address, and they lit it from below, and it's casting these huge harsh shadows of the banister railings against the wall and stuff. It looked fucking awesome, but I don't know. At the same time, I was like, this kind of looks cheap, but it fucking works for this movie really well.
If you're gonna
Cheap-
shoot a movie for 10 grand, you got to do those
Well,
kind of tricks.
I
Like
think-
you got to use that.
I think with the story and the characters that they had in this movie, even though again the weakest part of this movie is definitely like the script, it worked in its advantage because of the settings that they were able to get. Like,
Can I disagree?
Yeah.
Can
I
I
want to
just-
disagree too. We looked at each other for a second.
I want
yeah.
to disagree. I want to say that the weakest link in this film is actually the actors. I think that here's the problem. This film suffers from the same thing that I think a lot of indie filmmakers suffer from, which is a very ambitious script and not being able to necessarily pull it all together. But he kept the chunks that were relative to the narrative I think he was trying to tell, but it wasn't weaved together as well as one would anticipate. But I think that rises far above the acting. The acting definitely is the lowest thing on the totem pole in this film. I'm on your page a little bit?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, how do I put this? Like, a movie like Miami Connection, you feel like somebody is on the pen and he's just like, all right, I mean, I got to get him to go here, so they go here. I got to get him to go here, so they go here. Everything in this script kind of feels like it's motivated.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see any, like, weird kind of like, why the fuck are they out of... You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to put it. It seemed like the writer of this actually had some semblance of like, oh, yeah, I am telling a story here, and I actually care very much about that story.
Yeah.
Now, just because some of the dialogue is all funky and weird, I kind of don't think that
I actually...
the writing
dude, like
is bad.
I think what it
I think
suffers mostly
you're forgetting
from
scenes like when like towards the end where he's at the gas station and the fucking grandma and the kid are in the car, and I'm gonna get your gun, grandma.
No,
and he shoots
there's-
the
So
fucking
can I say
clerk.
something?
There's problems
That's the
with
one
the script.
joke in that I don't. That's the one joke in this film. I don't think there are. This is not like a hey, let's keep
His
it happy and giddy all the
His
time.
girlfriend finds out she's going to die through a fucking Ouija board. Like there's elements.
Yeah, but I don't
Come
think.
on, guys.
Yeah, but that was established
Like,
with,
I understand.
as her
I
character
understand.
trait.
Like, don't get me wrong. I understand liking this film, but I mean,
Well,
No one's saying that it's like it deserves an Oscar for
Yeah.
writing, and no one is saying it isn't amateurish. I'm saying is there's like dialogue that is so illogical. It's like, okay, God, he was just trying to get him to get an ice cream. Like, it just doesn't follow how human beings actually do shit.
Right.
And this film actually felt like they made a conscious effort to be like, all right, but let's give him a reason to go from here to
you
here.
know what might be a better thing for us to pick out and pick at is actually probably the edit of the film.
Yeah, I was gonna come in and say,
ooh,
look,
yeah, I agree with
the
that.
editing is a little rough,
I think-
and also the ADR on this movie is really
Sure.
rough and like out of sync. And
I
it's,
think-
it's,
I can
that-
forgive it though with the grit of this film.
no, they do some cool shit with the audio. I think actually the sound mix is very interesting, and the music is very
Music choices are really
Yeah.
good, but I think the editing is honestly a thing that's almost maybe accentuating these scenes that we think are poor from the script perspective, because there's a lot of stuff like time does not exist on your normal perception of reality in this film, because it's like, I want you to leave the gang. Okay. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, they're in the fucking woods, and then
Yeah, having a
boom, they're
great
back
time.
home. And it's just like, what the fuck had just happened right now? Did I just see a dream
but he does have a lot of those too after she dies.
Yeah.
He starts having like
Nightmares.
nightmares and flashes and like weird trip out moments.
Well, I
which
mean,
is fun.
the other
Yeah,
thing
that
is
was really
the
fun.
weird psychedelic imagery in this film that
The
feels like it
kaleidoscope?
comes from like a 1960s film.
Yeah,
which I actually really thought was kind of cool.
I actually thought it was cool for transitions too. It's like cool. That's a cool thing to do that probably wasn't being used very much at the time, but is an old school like
it's
trick.
an old trick.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like just use the kaleidoscope, like jump.
It's also what made me go 1988. Like, you know, this film.
Even the clothes, Chris.
Like, well, I know, and even the way the characters look and everything. I felt like I was watching like characters out of an early John Waters movie.
dude, but Goose gets so much more badass when he grows that beard.
Dude, he looks fucking badass with a beard, doesn't he? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, going back to like the fight scenes too, like I like the way they shot these fight scenes. They really like again. Like I made the thing with his roundhouse. His roundhouse is pretty good, but like some of the stuff is you wish it was choreographed better. But these guys aren't
Dude,
aren't
no,
professional.
not at all.
Listen,
But
Real
it's
quick.
shot really creatively.
When I was watching these fight scenes, I thought to myself, man, the fight scenes in Buffy sucked.
Yeah,
I was like, for these amateurs to be doing these fight scenes, I actually feel like people are in danger.
That's exactly what I thought.
Honestly, the biggest mistake the filmmaker made for most of the fight scenes was where he basically staged the fight and staged the camera. Because if he had there's a couple scenes where if he had just had the camera positioned like a few feet to the right, that wouldn't have looked like a pulled kick. It would have looked like a legit kick.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. I can tell they probably could not afford like a good choreographer
no,
for this.
I think he did
And
it
it
himself.
worked in its
He
fucking
did.
favor because there are times where like you're watching it and they're so physical with one another. You're like, there's no way somebody didn't just get hurt right now.
Dude, when
Like
he
there's no
dro-
fucking
when
somebody
he-
went home with like
when
a fucking broken
he
nose.
drops from the fucking top of the railing,
Yeah.
like one story down to the fucking train
Yeah,
tracks,
yeah.
I was like, well, you got a
Dude.
fucking broken ankle right there. Holy
You know, what,
shit.
Yeah.
you know what I kept on saying? I was like, oh shit, fucking, what's his last name?
Beber?
Beber. I was like, damn, Beber parkour before parkour was cool, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he was killing it.
Dude, that
See, when
that
you don't
drop
have
was
money-
so far.
when-
so far.
When you don't have money, you have to do spectacle, and
But-
spectacle is insane stunts. All right, so that's why I think where this film really succeeds is that it does
No.
aim to do shit like
I'll
that.
tell you what, man. Like again, I think this is where it falls in the it's so bad it's good category for me too, because again the acting is just not there. But these guys, it's with all credit that I can give them as much as possible. They are fucking really into this, and they like that scene, like the scene when after Christy is dead, and Keith comes to him with Danny is like, "Hey, we're doing this job, and you're fucking doing it with us."
Yeah,
They beat the shit out of each other in that hallway. Those actors
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
can tell, man. You can tell they're going at it, and they're really
fucking out of breath and shit.
oh, they're out of breath, like, and they're shoving the hell, dude. They're shoving the hell out of each
Right.
other, digging
Yeah.
into each other, like they're really going at it,
Mhm.
and you can just tell, and it does add to it, like it does, because you're like, man, these guys are really going at
like
it
it
for
feels
this.
real, right? It feels like there's real danger in
Yeah.
that moment
No,
for those two
for-
people.
For me, it doesn't feel like it's so much real as like I was just like from an outside perspective, it's like, man, these guys really care about this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I can just tell that. Like it's not like they're trying their best to act. The dialogue's still coming out shitty, but their physical is like crazy.
I did want to ask, can we switch gears? And I really want to talk about the main protagonist, the main villain, the one that
Bone Crusher.
Bone Crusher.
Oh wait, then can I say my thing first?
Huh? What's that?
Can I say my thing first?
Yeah,
then?
absolutely.
No, the other one thing that I want to say before I don't think this was intentional, but it seemed like it could have been an artistic choice was this film feels grimy, man.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
super grimy. Like I felt dirty like watching it.
Yeah.
Everyone in it seems dirty.
All
Like
the
they're not wearing
buildings are
clean
dirty.
clothes. Like
Everybody's
I was like,
schizophrenic.
I was like, how did they? I questioned how they stayed safe where they were shooting.
yeah.
I
It
really
just-
did.
I like that aesthetic a
it was
lot.
all rubbly and just back
Dude,
alley.
it looked like the worst.
condemned
It looked like the
buildings.
worst fucking
Yeah.
neighborhood I've ever seen.
Yeah, they found great locations to make it feel very like gangs run the streets. You know,
I'm sorry, Kyle. What were you saying?
Oh,
no,
I,
now we'll go.
oh,
I thought we were gonna
I-
cut it in as.
yeah, we're gonna cut it in.
yeah.
So we're
But
just
I
gonna pick
forgot-
up from what I'm talking
but
about.
I
Bone
forgot what-
Crusher.
a Bone Crusher. Sorry, but yeah, Bone Crusher. You would say he's the main. I would say he's the sidekick, but he's like
He's so the main fucking villain in this
He
film.
is.
So
Yeah.
Dan, is that his name? Dan?
Danny.
Danny is
He's
definitely
the
like
brains, but I feel like
yeah, but he almost feels like he's second fiddle to Bone Crusher. Bone
Yeah.
Crusher is such a fucking presence in this
But
movie and terrifying as hell.
And you know when you figure that out is when he does those fucking poppers like up his nose, and then he starts just
that monologue.
That monologue,
Oh
just,
my
it
God.
almost sounds like he kind of knew what he was supposed to say and just fucking went off and got into it.
you mean I hate people, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't give a shit. This
It
is the
was a-
literal delivery of it, though. That's how it was delivered.
Yeah.
Was there like a siren going on in the
Yes.
background too,
Yes.
dude?
Yeah.
I did feel so much tension from that
Yeah.
character in that scene.
He is. He's fucking deep. And even when he comes and he talks to Danny, that like in the sewer, like he comes
Oh,
back.
about killing?
Yeah, like, yeah, I get the impression that like Danny's like, all right, I know that you're like below me, but like, I'll tell you what it is. It's that '80s villain that like runs the show, like no doubt, but has his like one henchman and his right hand man is like his muscle, so to speak. And then like the hero always has to take it's always the fight before the fight. Like the big fight. It's,
Mini boss.
It's the guy,
Yeah.
it's the one
know
guy in
exactly
Die
what-
Hard with the long blonde hair.
I know
Yes.
exactly who it is.
Yes.
It's
That
the,
guy.
Yes.
It's the
You're
bane.
like, oh,
It's
this
the
ain't gonna
bane
go
to the
good for
poison
him.
ivy. It's the bane to the poison ivy.
The
I like-
bane to the
I liked Mike's example.
No, mine was better.
Better.
than bane
That
to the
sounds
poison ivy.
sexy.
Yeah, you got to bane your poison ivy, Chris.
Bane to
Yeah.
the poison ivy.
You gotta
Yeah,
bane
but-
to the poison ivy,
and
Chris.
you know, and, like Bone Crusher, like he's the one that actually kills his girlfriend too.
Well-
so there is
yeah.
that like
Well, there's the
investment
other- there's
in.
the-
Funny game style.
Well, there's the other guy too. No, because he's at the guts, and there's a guy at the face just hitting her in the face with a golf club.
Yeah.
And that scene where like the where it's just her skull, like, and it looks like all the skin was just ripped
Oh,
off
it's
by
like-
the golf
it's his
club. It's like
nightmare.
digging into the
Yeah.
brain. Yeah, that was fucked up.
His nightmare,
Yeah,
where
it
he's
was
stabbing
really
him to the
fucked
head.
But like it's somebody else. It's somebody else also that's involved that just kind of disappears in the wayside.
Oh, this just reminded me of something that I will say it was quite laughable and like ridiculous as fuck to me is his slow walk to the trash compactor with his dead girlfriend. Like,
oh,
what
yeah.
kind of fucking send off is that to the woman you love? You've chucked her in the fucking trash compactor.
He's crying as it's going down.
This
He's
guy is
crunching.
pushing the button. It's like, doo.
do you know-
It's
how do
like,
And you
How do
think
you
he
know
can
that
afford
this
a
wasn't-
funeral, Kyle? You think he can afford a funeral?
well, with that destroyed rubble
could be-
building,
that
he
could
could
be-
have burned her
that
in a
could
little
be
more
their gang
ceremonious.
send off,
It's not like-
man.
it's-
Yeah, you know how
It's like a
the-
Viking
the
thing.
Vikings shot people with arrows and
I would
burned them
think
alive.
the city sanitation would have caught on to dead bodies going
Yeah,
into that
right?
compactor.
Well, there's only a few, and it's only part
Also,
of the
he's
gang.
walking around with bloody hands for like the next 3 days,
That's
and
true.
then goes on like a drug and alcohol.
I
fucking-
liked that whole scene when he goes on that long bender.
Yeah,
it
me
was
too.
interesting.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about that bender because I want to talk about his crazy ass dad. And we're back.
Eating gummies.
Wow,
Can
Chris,
you just
is
dump
keep
that
it
out on your
down.
laptop so we don't have to hear bag anymore?
Yeah, Jesus
There we
Christ,
go.
bro.
There we go.
There we go.
Respect.
And we're back. We are talking about motherfuckers.
Fucking cans McGillicuddy over here.
Welcome back.
And we're back.
Go on.
And we're back. We're talking about Deadbeat at Dawn. Before we left, we said we were getting to the conversation about his father and then a little bit of the bender afterwards that happens because nothing triggers a bender like talking to dear old dad.
Yeah.
Sure did. Sure did. You ever get back
You
from
know?
a Thanksgiving? You know that's one of the most popular days, bar days,
Yeah.
is after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like right after it. Like between
yeah.
7 and like midnight.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because people can't stand talking to their parents. They need fucking drinks.
I was really excited actually with this scene because like he
Were you?
made a
Origin story?
He made a comment early on where he's just like I ended up better like my father, and I was like huh, and then when it also was like oh shit, we're gonna see dad,
Yeah.
we're gonna see who the fuck the man is that raised fucking Goose.
It's like the guy who raised Goose who is like the retired Riddler, you know, doesn't have any riddles anymore and is just really
Yeah.
hooked on drugs.
Like, he just-
but is like still zany.
He's gone through all of his best stuff.
Yeah, has nothing left.
He's had writer's block for years, and it's just not coming back, man.
Yeah.
He's just gonna have to retire.
but he still has that enthusiasm.
he just wants to be the Riddler.
You know, he just wants, but he can't anymore.
As long as riddles are heroin.
And it's happening in his apartment.
Yeah.
Dude, don't drink the last beer at his house. I'll tell you what, man.
Oh.
The only
Holy
thing that was
shit.
left.
Yeah.
It was
You know?
mold or beer.
Yeah, I actually thought he was originally. It's funny when the scene started. I thought he was going back to like what I assumed was Goose's original apartment before
That's
he
what I
moved
thought
in
so
with his
too.
I thought
girlfriend.
too, yeah.
And like I even thought to myself, it like made me chuckle because like he walks into the apartment and then he turns on the faucet to clean his hands, and I was like, oh, back in the day when even if it was a burned out fucking building, still had the pipes working though.
Still had water. They still
Very
gave you
important.
that.
Very important.
Hey man, he paid the bill. You know, that's the one bill his dad paid. That's why he kept on asking
Well,
him
that,
for money. It was
that
the water bill.
power. The fridge was still running.
Oh man, yeah, his dad's upset about that and asked him for some money. What's he do? Go out and buy that heroin.
Yes, that's right. He's a heroin addict, and he
Well,
injects it in his toe.
He's like schizophrenic,
Yeah.
and I can't tell if it's like schizophrenia triggered by the heroin or vice versa, or
Yeah.
what. It's just his dad's in fucking rough shape.
I gotta
Well,
say, there's a part of this, like, and I was never a drug addict or anything. But like, isn't the whole point of injecting something into your foot so that people in public can't see that
Yes.
you are an addict because you don't get track marks?
Yeah.
yeah, but there's also a thing called habit, and if
Yeah,
you
like-
started with the toe, you're probably not going to change
Yes,
away from
but
the
this
toe.
is what I'm saying. When I saw that scene, it got me through this whole backstory. Like this
Yes.
whole like, was this guy like a reputable dude? Like he had a good job and he always did heroin back then, and he's still using the only way that he remembers to take it, which
Mhm.
before he cared what people thought, and now he doesn't. But it doesn't matter. He's just used to
I
this
think
one
that's
way.
very possible. I think
Yeah.
it's an attempt to maybe hide and attempt to be normal still, you know?
But it's so clear he's
Oh,
insane.
can I just say that even talking about this scene makes me wince because this scene right here, like, I don't know what it is about needles going into the webs of my toes or a toe, but something about that makes me want to vomit. and even when the blood like squirted out because he just like jabbed it, I was like, that looked too real. Like, what was going on with this effect here?
really great effect is what was going on. It was a fantastic effect.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, there was
very
some
disturbing.
For me, there was some gross out moments, and you mentioned also like the corpse, you know, that's getting
Yeah.
like that knife dug into it. It's a very grimy
Yeah.
soil, you know, rotten looking corpse.
I do want to say though, going back to the whole dad situation, like granted, the performances, the writing, whatever, is what it is. It's bad in some parts, but I couldn't overlook the actual like emotion of the whole thing. And I was just like, this is fucking depressing even for Goose's life. I felt like
it's that's the thing I'm talking about. It's stuff like this. It's that type of attention to backstory that makes it makes what bad writing you're talking about, like Miami Connection, where they don't really care. It's just like, hey, we're all orphans. I don't know how that happened, but they just are, right? Like it's stuff like that. Like
not all of them.
but
Mike.
That's
this
very
one-
deep backstory. The four orphans who found each other in college and became best friends and started
Yes,
a band.
But no one knows. No one knows how they became orphans or their backstory or what. Like
Well, except one of them's not an orphan. We found out, which adds a lot of drama
I'll
and
put it this
tension to
way.
the band.
there is exposition in this that they put in that good writing is, right? Like, there's one way to say exposition. We have been adopted, and wow, but you had a father, and I had a father. That's talking exposition. That's considered bad, right? Good exposition is when you take a scene in a story and you have to read the backstory based on what you're looking at.
Yeah.
You think in your mind, what is making Goose such a bad guy? And then you find out that his dad is a drug addict, and that's the reason they're separated. So of course he ended up like this horrible person.
Yeah.
Like that's an attention to detail
Yeah, you're
that
right.
comes from good writing.
And one might say he's not as horrible as his father.
No, that's the whole I think they're trying to make that very clear because when the father attempts to try to finally just steal the money from him
Yeah.
and kill him,
Yeah.
you realize that, like, yeah, he beats the shit out of his dad because his dad's a fucking junkie at this point.
Right.
But, like,
Even that part
he-
made me like cringe.
he wasn't willing to kill his own father.
Nope.
Yeah.
He said, kill yourself. care.
Exactly. He was kind of like, but his father was willing to kill him. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
I mean,
with
yeah,
a
he
meat
might be
cleaver.
a shitbag, but he's not that guy.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
good.
that's
called
what- and
good writing.
that scene where he basically, I feel like him like having to like beat the shit out of his father, in like coupled with the fact that his love of his life is dead sets him off on the bender.
Oh yeah.
And then he just like, which I was like, where'd you get all the money from? You just gave your dad everything. Like, and he's out drinking, getting
I don't know where
drugs.
he did
Like,
He
that.
had 3 pitchers, and he is the drunkest sounding person ever of all time.
Worst performance.
Oh
as a
yeah,
drunk.
terrible,
Oh.
terrible
Jesus.
drunk
Very bad.
performance.
When he
very
jumps
bad.
over that fucking table, though,
Yeah,
I lost my
right?
shit laughing. Man, like
good.
that's what I'm, like some like
Can't move.
I didn't see it
Gymnastics.
coming. Yeah.
I don't know, like the dialogue is so bad. I was not making these, I guess, the same emotional connections that a lot of you guys are.
It's not an
for
emotional
it.
connection. It's
You guys are going real deep into it. where
no,
I'm just
it's
like,
not
oh,
even
wow.
that. It's like watching like
The execution. I
a
see what you're saying.
12-year-old JV player, not a JV player, but like a 12-year-old kid
Why
on
is
the
all these
basketball
sports
team
references?
jump up and like slam dunk some shit. And you're like, how the fuck did you do that? And the kid's like, I have no idea. Like, it's like there's a part of it that is
Yep.
like,
That was lost on me.
okay,
I
how do
didn't follow
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was lost
Sorry.
on me.
Let me
Why
try to
He
use-
knows sports. He
No
knows
sports in this room.
He knows a lot about sports. Like a 12-year-old kid dunking.
Duncan.
Who's the 12-year-old dunking?
Yeah, it's a 12-year-old
Is
dunking
it
on
Goose?
it on
Is that
fucking
Goose?
Michael
Is
Jordan.
Goose dunking? Who's
okay,
dunking?
okay.
Jim Van Beber?
I'll use this example, right?
Is it a windmill dunk? What kind of dunk?
Yeah.
It's like it's a windmill dunk. He's fucking windmilling for sure. It's just like NBA Jam. They're just like fucking
He's on fire.
on fire.
Anyhow,
Jordan. Okay. No, the way I want to describe it is like it's such an odd thing to see a good play, something that takes years to learn, right? Done immediately and surrounded by clear amateurness. You
Yes.
know that it's like a part of it's like seeing somebody like a natural. I
Yeah,
imagine like
It's the ambition.
right, like it's when like a scout goes to like a high school game and sees some kid.
Going to sports.
Can't get away from sports. I can't not do sports. If you let me, but it would have made more sense because it's a better analogy.
We get it.
We're
We're gonna
I
have to
get it
cut
now.
this. We're gonna have to cut this.
Jim Van
whole thing
Beber
out.
is like a savant, you're
Yeah.
saying, of filmmaking.
No, it's not.
He's a protege. You're saying
Never
he's a
mind.
protege.
Let's just cut this whole
Okay.
scene out. I'm trying to explain
What
it.
you're saying
It's
is
not
like-
working.
A
Okay.
scout came and got him and bumped him up to the minor leagues.
Yeah,
And he's a
bopped
couple
him.
of bats away from making
I
it pro.
keep trying to use sports.
He's a couple of bats away from scoring a touchdown. A couple of
Jesus.
swings of the bat.
Yep.
All right. Just cut that. whole scene
Badminton.
What I do want to get into, why we still have a little bit of time here, is I do want to get into the end of this film because I am a big fan of the end of this film. It does like a cheesy thing where it's like he calls up her sister and has Chrissy's sister meet him. He's gonna have him meet him where he's gonna give this $100,000 away.
Oh, we should give the backstory.
Yeah, the heist.
Quick backstory. There's a heist that happens when he gets re-recruited to the
Badass
the
heist.
warring gangs come together to pull off this badass
Yeah,
heist.
the Ravens and the...
Yeah, the spiders and the
Spiders.
ravens, and Goose is along for the ride. And then Goose doesn't trust the spiders. He thinks they're going to double cross him. So he rolls into. They meet up to
Ready
exchange
for
money.
war.
And he's got every goddamn weapon and leather holster you could ever ask for every weapon.
Yeah,
Like
love
you didn't
it.
know they made leather
Knife.
nunchuck shoulder holsters.
But
They
they
fucking do.
They do.
And can I say it reminded me of that scene in First Blood, like
Yes!
the close-ups. Yeah.
100%.
I thought like
Mhm.
I think I know this shot.
But
This one sounds familiar.
Dude, like the end caught me off guard because it's this like battle between him and Danny that ends up like falling on top of the sister's car.
I know. Out of nowhere.
And like it was just fucking brutal because at one point you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna win this fight, and then Danny just stabs him in the gut. I don't know, 100 times.
100 times.
That-
That's
100
another thing,
times,
dude. That was
shakes
so.
him.
That was so fucking real.
It
That
was.
was like something out of Oz.
I'm like, he's
It's
shaking the
just like, oh, that's how it really happens.
Yeah, I'm like, he's shaking the fuck out of him
Yeah.
right now.
Well, the thing
Before that, though,
if you
there's so
remember,
much that happens.
If you remember at the beginning of the podcast, I talked about an attention to detail that you don't really wouldn't. And I feel like I personally wasn't anticipating for this film, and it's actually at the scene when Goose has his arm locked in the car and he's getting dragged, and he grinds against the wall, and as he's grinding, each time it cuts back, there's more debris and flesh, like special effect appearing on the side of his arm as it's getting scraped off from the concrete wall, and I was just like, that's disgusting and insanely amazing that they decided to we need to make
we gotta
sure
get the continuity.
we have to get continuity here because you're not going to rub against the wall and not have missing flesh.
made it very effective.
Wait,
in the
so good.
griminess and
Yes.
grittiness,
And
yeah.
can I say something? There is a history behind this. I think that $10,000. He was like a film school
Yeah.
Like he was coming out of film school when he made this film.
Okay.
So like I understand him like crossing all his I's and dotting all of his T's. 'Cause
Yeah.
he just got out of school. I think some of the times when we see the so bad they're good movies, it's regular Joes who have no fucking idea how to make a film that somehow get a bunch of camera equipment and they go, all right, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
a very good
I
point.
think there is something to that.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I like what they do at the end is I actually like that Goose dies. And
Yeah.
the reason I like that is because Goose is not a good person. You're
No, he's
not supposed
not.
to like, even though you're
Yeah,
cheering for him
exactly.
because you want him to have the revenge, you're like, you're still a shitty person.
Yeah, you
Like,
still again shot someone's hand off at the beginning of the film.
yeah, and that's
for
it,
no
that's
reason.
it. That's it for Kyle. He can't. It was another gang member.
Yeah, you cut Danny's
Trying to
face
grab-
off.
Yeah, but I guess
trying
that
to
scene
grab a
stuck with
gun.
me because it was disgusting. It reminded me of that scene in RoboCop at the beginning when he's like, nah, 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 and then blows his fucking hand off. It just, you know what? Hands getting blown off scares the shit out of me.
I like the squib effects and the blow up effects and
Dude,
stuff.
in this movie,
I like
Yeah.
the low budget effects they used. They actually used an effect that I remember reading about that Tom Savini used for Dawn of the Dead for headshots.
I know what you're gonna say right
Where
now.
when at the gang meeting at
Yep.
the end and he shoots the dude in the head and like that hole appears, it's literally like wax and a button buried underneath it with fishing line. They just yank it and it makes a bullet hole.
Yeah, it makes a hole.
That's what Tom Savini used that shit in Dawn of the Dead,
I
which I was
noticed
like,
it
I was
right
so
away.
impressed. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
So I do have one complaint that I gotta get off my chest about this movie. That's probably the most disgusting thing in this film.
Oh,
And it's the fact that I don't know. There's at least 7 to 8 times where someone's face is spit in.
Oh, yeah, there's a ton of spitting.
There's a lot of spitting.
They're like fucking camels in this movie, man.
so much fucking,
Dude.
and it's
True,
not
and
just
it's
like
gag worthy.
it's not a
So
little
gross.
spit. It's like they
yes.
had
No,
a
they'll
loogie.
legit go for it.
They've been building a loogie up in their mouth for like the last 20 minutes.
Oh,
And-
just saying it
and
makes
you-
me want to
and
fucking
you know
throw up.
And you know it's real because unlike, okay, so when you
Ugh.
see this shot in 80s films, you know it's like a girl spitting
is
at a
sick.
camera and like a guy like spraying him with a spray bottle,
Yeah.
right? Like it cuts from one to the other and the guy just grabbing himself.
No, this is
this
one
is
shot.
just two faces, one camera right next to each other, and you just see a loogie hit a dude right in the eye.
Two faces,
Right in the
one
fucking
spit.
face.
Yeah,
Chris,
two faces, one
Just
lug.
Not a
top of the
fan.
forehead dripping down in the eye, and they're just acting through it, Chris.
Good
That
job.
literally you know that feeling like you feel like in like your lower abdomen that
Yeah.
just twists.
Loogies
That's
always,
what I'm
loogies
getting.
have always
Dude,
done that
but
to me.
with this movie, I was just like, dude, I think you got it. I think you got the spit scene. You don't need
So many
7 more.
extra times.
I just think he was going for like a very hard, gritty, like even down to like some of like the music cues. It's like fucking metal
listen,
shredding. Like,
let's be honest. Okay, I think the director realized that the talent he has wasn't the best. If you actually go back and really watch the movie, there's not a lot of dialogue exchanging that happens. It's actually a very dialogue light script. That's why I think it stands out really when it shows up as bad. But I think this is just another way to show, just to like convey like either this person's a badass or a piece of shit or whatever, is like spitting. It's almost like he used it as another tool in his box to like get more out of the actors than he knew he couldn't actually write.
make you really hate them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, what do you say we rate this mammer jammer? Chris, what are we rating it?
We're gonna rate this spits in the face.
Spits in the face. I think that's very appropriate.
Spits in the face.
I was afraid you were going to go with something stupid like golf clubs.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so let's start. You know what? I want to start with Mike first. I want to see where Mike's at. I feel like he's going to be the barometer for this rating.
You think?
Really? I do.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give this 4.5.
I knew that shit was going to be high. That's why I said let's
in
set
the
him up.
Face. Can I tell you something? When you picked this and we saw all the trailers and stuff like that, I totally thought 1988, another cheesy ass, stupid fucking action film. It's not really that great. Like, okay, we're in the 2.5 to 3 range here, right? I was actually quite blown away by what they did with such a small budget. I thought there was a lot of ambition in this film, a lot of heart. And I gotta say, man, the end of this film, like, I would say maybe there are some slow parts. That's where I'm gonna dock it that 1/2 star, right? But that, I would say the last half hour of this film was like a roller coaster. I was like, holy shit, man, this action's good. Like, it's amazing. It's kind of how I felt about when I first saw El Mariachi, and I thought, there's something special here. Like, I know he didn't have resources. You can totally tell that. But, like, the heart behind it, and you can see the effort to try to make a good film. And I think that's what this film has. And I don't know, man. If you know what it felt like, I'll tell you what it felt like. It felt like how the Double Dragon movie should have been.
Right, though.
No, for real. Like,
actually,
it's
when you
gritty.
said that made sense to me.
It felt like the last half hour feels like I'm watching a beat 'em up from 8-bit to 16-bit world.
Yeah, when you said it that way, it made sense to me right now.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that rang true in someone's ear.
Yeah.
Jesus.
All right, I will go next because I think I have a different point of view on this movie than everybody else here. But
so it's going to be a 5.
We'll see where I'm at. No, I'm at a 3.5. I think this is I think I have a different point of view of not that this is a like a movie that people shouldn't see. I just like the way you guys make it sound is like this dramatic drama action film, and like I had fucking fun watching this because I was laughing my ass off. It's silly. Like, this movie's fucking silly because, like, they do take such a serious approach to this, but the acting is, like, very over the top, very cardboard, which makes it laughable. The dialogue that is in this film is very laughable. And while they do try to pull off serious tones, they just don't pull it off. They try really hard, and everybody's doing their best to make a really fucking good film, which also makes it really fun. Like, I don't know. I had just a really good time watching it, and I thought it was more of like a funny thing than more of an artistic piece. But that's just me. That's what I got out of it. But yeah, 3.5 for me. 3.5 spits in the face, Chris. I don't know how I'm gonna do a half a spit in the face, but 3.5 spits.
Half a loogie, I guess.
Yeah. Kyle?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna come in at a 5 on this one.
Wow,
man.
shit.
This is a rare
not see that.
this is a rare film where when the credits started to roll, I actually just quietly said to myself, I think I fucking love this movie. This movie, it's funny that the whole movie uses a transition of kaleidoscope because I think it fits this film very well. This film is like a kaleidoscope of chaos. There is just so much that it hits you with. And Mike pointed out there are slow parts, and there are, but you know what? I still felt like there was momentum because those slow parts are punctuated with bad editing and kind of like almost like ridiculous scenarios that get presented to you. So it's funny. I kind of agree with Cody in the fact that there's a lot of stuff in this film that is over the top, cheesy, but I agree with Mike that there are a lot of ambition and there's a lot of actual drama that's actually happening on film that you can feel and you can appreciate. It's like this director managed to squeeze all of that into one film, and I love it. The ambition in this film, I had no idea the budget was $10,000. That fucking blew me away after I heard that. Yeah, special effects great. Fights are great. Fights are especially fucking great in this movie. I highly, highly recommend this movie. I will be purchasing this film.
Before Chris goes, make sure you check out Kyle's new album, Kaleidoscope of Chaos.
Isn't that
It's a great one. It's a good one.
Yes.
It's a good
It's
one.
gonna be a great album.
It's just gonna be my musings.
Very metal.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, where you at?
I had such a good time watching this movie. I think that it was obvious, from our conversation here, what this film has to offer. Kyle, you said so many great things that I also felt about this film, and I really can't pick out much that I dislike. The reason I'll disagree with the so bad it's good idea is because usually that has a collection of things that make it so bad. Whereas the only thing I could really point to that I thought was so bad laughable was possibly, yes, the dialogue / acting. And that's just not enough for me because the effects, the stunts, the sheer ambition, as everybody said, outshines that. It makes it impressive enough for me to not laugh at the film too hard. So I think it's like I've used this reference before, but when you're done watching it, you're like, man, it makes me want to go make a movie.
Yeah.
And because what they're doing is amateur, but also ambitious. And 4 years to make it. There was obviously a serious vision for this film and a passion behind it. Jim Van Bebber definitely hit a home run, in my opinion. And I immediately started watching this again after I watched it. I played it twice in a row and enjoyed it more the second time because I started to see the nuances that you were talking about, Kyle. So I'm going to give this a 5. 5 spits in the face.
Let me ask you this question, though, and I just want to see where you stand on this. Because you said you don't think it's so bad it's a good film. But if you were to, let's say we played this at the Phoenix Film Bar, You don't think the audience would be laughing through this whole movie?
I don't
Because
think
I
laughter necessarily means that it's so bad it's
Yeah.
good.
do.
Like
I think they would be I think they would be laughing at the
No,
film.
I think the barometer of what we decided so bad it's good is a little off, because so bad it's good is stuff that you watch it's almost like stuff that where you're like, I can't believe someone actually committed this to film. And this movie doesn't feel like that. It doesn't give you that
No.
vibe. This feels
I'm
like total determination, total drive, a very clear picture of what the story wanted. He didn't have the resources to make the story that he wanted, but he had the clear drive for it. Whereas like other films, it's like, when you're watching, you think to yourself, at no point you thought maybe we should stop making this movie. Nope, we're just going to keep going for it. And I think that is more in line with a So Bad It's Good film.
and I think it's like more of a so good it just has bad acting film.
That's terrible. We're not going to. We're not going to coin that one.
That's my
Dropping
new favorite.
bombs
That's
over
my
here.
that's my new favorite
It's
subgenre.
so good it's bad
And
films.
can I ask a question too? So the other thing about this film that's impressive is that it was shot over 4 years. That's a long shooting time, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a few
Gotta
films
grow that
out there,
beard
like
out.
I think Reservoir Dogs. Or
Probably not
No,
even
no.
that
It was
long.
before Reservoir Dogs.
COVID.
Tarantino did one where I don't even think he finished
Right.
it, and it was over the course of a few years. But did anybody get that impression? Like he looks
No.
significantly older
No.
and
No.
different.
No.
Yeah,
not
that
at
was
all.
another thing too. It was kind of like 4 years. How the fuck did they
He
pull this
aged well.
off?
He aged well.
Anyways, that's
All right, guys, that's our show for this week. But before we go, we got some reviews to read.
I want to read one.
You get a review. You
I
get
want
a
to
review.
read one.
all right. You two, do it.
You two duty doos.
Do it in the Venom voice, Kyle.
Okay, Eddie. I will read the review. 5 stars.
Something like that.
5 stores.
Yep, got a 5-star review here from Spidey22R, and the title of the review is Entertastical.
Oh,
Like it.
And he goes on to say, heard about you guys from a friend, and I am now hooked. The banter between you guys is hilarious. Thanks for the entertainment.
well, number one, you're welcome, and what a good friend you have.
Great
Yeah,
friend.
that's awesome.
Give him the gift of Cold Film Review.
Yeah.
I love hearing about friends sharing our show. That's
It's the
amazing.
Gift, it's
Yeah.
honestly the gift that keeps on giving. I would say every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Never missed one.
All right, Chris.
We have another 5-star review here. It says, ridiculously entertaining. This comes from Jimmy Squid. It says, I work alone most of the time, so I'm always listening to something. I discovered this podcast randomly, which is completely out of character for me because I typically hate movie review podcasts. I'm also not a huge fan of podcasts that are hosted by all male or all female groups. However, I gave this one a chance after seeing that you guys reviewed a lot of movies that I grew up on. Ridiculously entertaining! Exclamation point. This show.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
I like it. No, it made me smile.
Gotta do
This
the
show.
punctuation too, comma.
Yeah.
He's talking to Siri.
Yes. Period. Yes. This show just
Stop.
works for me. I find myself agreeing with your opinions, arguing with your opinions, and laughing out loud, sometimes uncontrollably. I love the dynamic in your group. You all rate movies fairly, not just on a personal level, but on an educated level. I discovered you guys a couple of months ago and already listened to almost 100 hours of it. Wow.
Thank you. Wow.
He tweeted a pic, right?
He did. Yeah, he did tweet a
It
pic.
was confirmed.
Confirmed. Wow, yeah, impressive. My favorite episode so far is The Rocketeer. For all the misspoken words, I gotta go back and hear what that's about. I can't remember that.
Rocket
I
Power backpacks, dude.
had him dying.
Probably me.
Everyone knows-
Misspoken sounds a lot like
Rocket-powered
me.
Jimmy
backpacks.
says, I plan on purchasing a shirt at some point and spreading the word. You guys are
Thank
great.
you.
Keep it up. Your fan, Jimmy Squid. P.S. The over-the-top outros must stay. Yes, they are silly, but that is their charm. They're fantastic and, dare I say, iconic way to end the podcast. I find them hilarious. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank
That
you.
was an
Thank you.
awesome review. That
I
very,
appreciate
very
that.
awesome.
Review.
Thank you.
Very much. Guys, remember, if you leave us a review on iTunes, we will give you a shout out at the end of the show. So please do that for us. It helps us climb those charts that we're always talking about. So please do that. And then head over to cultfilmandreview.com. Pick yourself up a t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Like Jimmy's. Like Jimmy
Funny.
is going to do. Make sure you share that on social media, Jimmy, so we can share that.
Share that. Click like. Subscribe.
Ridiculous.
Kids tickets still just $10.
When you're done with that, You can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are on Instagram at Cult Film in Review on Instagram, Cult Film _review on Twitter. You can follow Kyle.
You can follow me on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
You can follow Chris.
Cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
You can follow Mike.
You're really playing it up now that you got the compliment, huh?
Well, 1 week they said they hate it. The next week they tell you they love
It's
it.
a roller coaster of emotion, I know.
Just got to run with it.
All right.
You can follow me at Mike Saluccio on Twitter. I love that we got the cat in there.
Thanks, Norris.
Hopefully.
I thought he was going to go friendly neighborhood filmmaking again. I thought he was having a flashback.
What year is it?
Is it 2015?
Marty!
And you can follow me at VHS Collect on Instagram and Snapchat. That's our show for this week. Remember, guys, if you're going to join the cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next time.
I don't think he ever
He
said it.
never actually said anything.
Well,
he
that's
didn't.
it. Too late.
No.
What is it?
How
You
could
never
people-
said your Twitter handle.
I did say it.
He needs to scream his Twitter.
I got it in there.
Scream it.
I got it in there.
Scream it. Scream it.
It.
Scream it.